And welcome, beautiful people of the world. Can you see me? Can you feel me? What's going on? Hello, hello. Type in the chat if you are here. Beautiful, innovative CEOs of the world. Type in the chat where you're coming in from. Hello, Jay, Robert. What's going on? Hello, Robert. Hello, Jim. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Type in the chat if you can, and also type in the chat where you're coming in from. From New Hampshire. Awesome. Welcome. Uh, welcome. We're going to get started in a few minutes. We're going to dive deep on the 5 positioning problems every innovative CEO must fix by 2025. And I say by 2025, I mean like imminently, and how to integrate AI into sales and marketing so you can grow like wildflowers. I like that better than wildfire. Sankar, Pablo, Jim, Isaac, welcome. Awesome, awesome. I am really excited to share with you guys what we're doing today. This is actually a customer. They just published this new website, the before and after. We're going to talk about why it is crushing it right now, why it's doing so well. But while we're getting started, type in the chat where you're coming in from and what business or what industry you're in. Hello, Marissa. Type in the chat where you're coming in from, what your business is. This is a participatory, action-oriented webinar masterclass. This is not a video. I am here live to have a conversation, and I respect your time, and I'm sure you respect mine. So let's dive in together. Type in the chat where you're coming in from. Isaac from Zakustik, Jay from Washington, North Carolina, Jim from New York. Awesome. I'm excited you guys are here. And I am proud that you guys are here because you're here today. You're going to have a breakthrough. You're going to have a real shift in your business. Believe it or not, that's what I'm going to guarantee you're going to have. You will never, ever be able to look at your website again, never be able to speak your sales message again in the same way. So that's my promise. It's going to be huge. And that's if you participate in this session. Hello, Jake. Hello, Samkar. Welcome. So I know that you've joined for the 5 positioning problems, but guess what? Sorry, the 3 positioning problems. We upgraded that to 5 positioning problems. So we're going to take a little bit more time, but I really want you to understand what you need to fix by 2025 so that you can grow like wildflowers and also integrate AI into sales and marketing and really find those 25x efficiency gains in your business. And I didn't stutter. 25x is what we're talking about. So this is what I'm going to promise to you. I'm going to be real with you during this. So it's going to be hardcore, straight up. What we're going to do here is experience experience some breakthroughs, and it's going to require an open mind. So just relax, get yourself a cup of coffee, take some notes, do some screenshots if you want, because this is going to take an open mind. Now, the open mind is necessary because many of us have blind spots, and many of us see our websites differently, see our marketing, see our solutions differently than other people and our clients do, and or even our employees do. So this is the kind of blind spots and the shifts that we're going to be working on today. I've been looking at LLM. Unbelievable. The world has changed. Google's Notebook LM. Type in the chat if you know what I'm talking about here, where these podcasts are happening. So AI has really changed the game. And if you're not figuring out exactly how you could use it in your business right now, you will be left behind. But listen, AI aside, your marketing likely has a fatal flaw because if you're not using and training AI right, you're just going to get the garbage that often comes out, and which is going to take a lot of your team's time to fix. And we're going to be talking about all this today, because if you're positioned the wrong way, your AI integrated marketing is going to fail, and you're going to have these terrible, terrible headaches because your ideal customer is going to confuse your solution with those that are nothing like it. Give me a 1 in the chat. Has that ever happened to you or your sales team? Meg, hello, Meg, Marissa, Sanjay, Jake, George, Sankar, Pablo, Jim, Isaac. We've got a great team of innovative CEOs here. Let's give me a 1 in the chat if that's ever happened to you, where your solution has been confused with something that's nothing like what you're selling. It's like, no, it's not what we do. It's not what the solution is. So that's what we're going to be talking today, and how to make these shifts so that actually your AIs know the difference and can produce content for you in a way that does put you in a category of one. So we're going to get through 5 positioning problems every CEO must fix by 2025, and how you can grow like wildflowers, because I know that marketing is a money pit. That's because it's being done all wrong. And if you're spending a lot of money on ads, I'm sorry, but ads are typically not profitable. The net is way too wide. And mostly when people click on the ad and they go to your homepage or go to the landing page, they just are not clear what it is you're selling, why they should buy, or why they should take any action at all. So what you're showing them when they get there is the wrong thing. So we're going to be talking about how $3,000 worth or $8,000 worth of billable marketing can be done and reduced to $3 of AI credits with a trained API in 20 minutes. I'm going to be showing this to you today. We're going to be getting you and your team using AI in the right way so you can grow like wildflowers. So by 2027, this is my prediction, there are going to be 2 kinds of businesses. There's going to be businesses that are using AI in the right way, and there's going to be businesses out of business, just no longer existing. And I really want you guys to be in the camp of thriving and successful, not just because of you, but because of, think of it this way, your customers, prospective customers out there that don't know who you are suffering right now because they're not using your innovation. And that's what we need to keep in mind. So I'm Greg Rosner, I'm the CEO of PitchKitchen. If you haven't heard of us, you don't know us, we're an AI integrated sales and marketing agency. And why is that? Because our customers, like you, need to be AI integrated. Story equals strategy, and this is why AI will fail you unless you train it and on the right story. We're going to go into all of this today, and I want to honor you for taking time to work on your business. This is what we're going to do. This is a conversation that we're having today. So give me a 1 in the chat. Have you been disappointed by the marketing you're getting out of your marketer? Just honestly, yes, no, maybe. Have you been a little disappointed? Just be honest in the chat. Come on. Yeah, give me a 1. Absolutely. Give me another 1 in the chat. Have you been disappointed by the marketing that you're getting out of ChatGPT? Is there something about it that maybe just needs fixing and needs editing? You're just not happy. It's not safe. It's not good. It's not really doesn't capture your story, your brand, your value. It just sounds like everything else out there. Give me a 1 in the chat if that's what you've been experiencing. So an untrained AI is just going to make you blend in with your industry. And here's the goal. The goal is to actually stand out. We're going to be talking about how to do that. And we're also going to be talking about the 3 layers of AI. When you're dealing with AI, the ChatGPT at the base level, it's user memory, but it's not trained. You need to train it on top of the base level and then work with a chat memory on top of that, which is level 3. And we're going to go through this, and it's going to be clear that you're likely using AI here at level 1. You need to be using it at level 3. And it's not about the prompt. You really should be lazy prompting. Prompting is dead because prompting is hit or miss. And prompting doesn't need to be perfect. What needs to be right is the training. We're going to be talking about this today, because your best sales presentation is not your sales presentation. It is your website, and your website is only great if it's trained on the right story. So I hope this has happened to you, where you just spent 50 to 75K rebranding your website and it's done nothing for sales. But I'm going to ask this question. Give me a 6 in the chat. Just, have you spent a lot of money on rebranding your website? And I hope not, but it's done nothing for sales. Just give me a 6 there if this has happened to you. We got Meg, Marissa, Sanjay, Jake, George, Sankar, Pavlo, Jim, Isaac, Jay, Robert, and Eric. No, not really. Well, that's good. I hope it didn't happen to you. But let me ask you this question. And again, this is a participatory event. It's not a video. We're having a conversation right now. What's more important? Just type in the chat. Is it your product being perfect and being great, being awesome? Or is it being your message being perfect, great, and awesome? Type in the chat. Yeah, Sanjay. I think so, Jim. So this is kind of shocking for a lot of people that really put so much effort, and obviously you need to create a great product. You need to, but it's not enough, sadly, in this market. It's just not enough to create a better mousetrap. So I believe what stands in the way between your innovation, what you've built with your team, and all your ideal prospects becoming customers is your message, your brand message, your story. And this is what we're talking about today, these 5 positioning problems, these 5 problems that need to be fixed. So, I need to encourage you to stop tolerating embarrassment about your website. You're really not years away from dominating your market. You're really just a brand narrative shift away. We're going to be talking about this. So it's not 3 positioning problems, it's 5 positioning problems that you all really need to fix ASAP. And we're going to get into this in this masterclass. So we're going to get into this by talking about not only the 5 positioning problems, but the 5 shifts that you must make to solve each of those problems. So there's a lot of great content we're going to share with you. And the 5th shift, once we get to it, is only going to work once you've made the first 4. So is that clear? Give me a clear in the chat. Just type in clear if that makes sense. I've had the privilege of working with some of the most amazing CEOs that are bringing great products to helping the lives of their customers, businesses do so much better. And I am honored to have worked with them to help them make these shifts. I would say that what these CEOs do not have in common is none of them have a boring story. None of them are embarrassed by their website. None of them are wasting money on marketing. None of them are paying team members to do things that can be automated right now. And none of them are not using AI. So if that is interesting to you, then stay tuned for what we're going to do. So the ground rules for this interactive, experiential, there's a heart for you guys, experiential session this is not for spectators. I need you to participate. I need this. I'm doing this for free. I want this to be fun for me too. So I need you to participate. This is for participants, not for spectators. Success loves speed and action, and I love success. Ground rule number 2, I will challenge you. This is going to be tough. I'm going to make you look at and think about things in a different way. And you will not be able to look at your homepage or speak your sales message again to your team, to your customers the same way if you participate. So if you don't want to deal with this, bow out right now. Just leave this webinar, leave the masterclass. This is going to be tough. So there's no replay here. This is a live conversation. I want you to enjoy. I want you to get so much out of this. And there are going to be giveaways, massive giveaways at the end for you guys. In addition to getting these 5 shifts, you're going to get a 16-part magnetic messaging framework, which is really a step-by-step guide to how your website needs to build the building blocks for buy-in for your prospects as they show up to your homepage. The 12 sales conversations that really need to be in every sales presentation, or at least in some of them. And if you miss one of these bases and you're selling a 100K deal, you will lose that deal. These are critical conversations to have. And we're also going to give you a link to the GPT homepage messaging evaluator, which we built, that's based on the magnetic messaging framework. You're going to get that link so you could use it to fine tune your own website if you want to DIY that. This is a screenshot of what the magnetic messaging framework looks like. You're going to get that at the end. I've got more stuff for you to give away as well. This is actually a website that uses the magnetic messaging framework. There's a lot of them out there, and they are really working. They're designed in a particular way that allows people, when they first land on the site, in 9 seconds to understand what it is you're selling, who is it for, what do you want them to do, what problem does it solve, and all those questions that are in people's minds when they hear about you through word of mouth or otherwise, so that they can convert. All right. So I also wrote a book. It's called Storycraft for Disruptors. It's out on Amazon. It was published. And this is, you're going to love the book because it also takes you through exactly what you need to do. But what you're going to get in this next 45 minutes is the gold from this book. And I'm also going to give away a free PDF copy. You can buy the book. I recommend you do that. I'd love a review. My goal is to get 50 reviews by Christmas. So if you want to make it a Christmas present to me, buy the book and write a review. So here's the deal. I will not pitch you in this session. There's zero pitching here. Again, I'm the CEO of PitchKitchen. I'm not going to pitch you. At the end, I will be offering 5 CEOs an opportunity over the next week to book a free AI integrated sales and marketing enablement session. We're really going to pull the Band-Aid off and really see if we can't find ways to find this efficiency gains, 25x efficiency gains, as well as fix your messaging so that you can use AI in the right way. All right, so does that sound fair to you? Give me a 1 in the chat if that sounds fair for this session. Those are the ground rules. This is what we're going to do. I'd love to see a 1 in the chat from everybody because of big hearts. Love you guys. I love that you're going to spend time in your business. I value your time as you do mine. All right. Got Jim, Pablo, Jay, Meg, Sankar, Eric, Marisa. Wonderful. So if it's likely you're here because you guys, your team is selling innovation. Is that right? That you are revolutionizing something. Is that right? Give me a 1 in the chat if that's true. I know there's lots of 1s, but I'm boring in this way. So if that's true, so this is a shocking thing. So I hope you're seated now. Bad news, if you're selling an innovation, says who? So is that self-described that you are selling an innovation? Is that your description of what it is? That it's a revolution in some way? Is that your own revolution? Like, do you really get to say that from a marketing perspective? So we're going to talk about this. I came across this website from someone that came to our webinar last month. And this is actually on their homepage. Trust and courage and accountability, compassion. I mean, do you believe this stuff? Do you think if you came to a website where they're espousing trust and courage and accountability, this is bullshit? I mean, really? Maybe it's true. Maybe these are trustworthy people. Maybe they are courageous. Maybe they are accountable. But you can't say that because nobody will believe it. Says who? So that's the point. Because if you're talking about your innovations and why doesn't this work? I mean, you can look out into the market and there's innovations everywhere. So innovations aren't enough to be successful. The good news is the world needs your solution. Your customers probably love you and probably need your solution to be better. And that's the good news. So who am I? Again, I'm Greg Rosner, the fractional CMO, and we offer agency services and 90-day sprints. I built 75 custom trained AI GPTs for public and private companies that are saving, I would say, hundreds of thousands of dollars at this stage, maybe millions by over the next month. I've worked selling directly $35 million worth of enterprise software, so I know what it takes to sell large products to committees. And I've had the privilege of designing about 3,000 websites and sales presentations and messaging frameworks that have earned more than 100 million. So that's a little bit about me. There is the book as well. It's on Amazon. I'd love if you guys bought it. So let me tell you who this is not for. It's not for CEOs that don't own their business. It's not for businesses that don't sell innovative products. I'm glad that you are. It's not for businesses that don't already have successful customers. So if you don't have a successful customer, it's going to be challenging to discuss these positioning problems because you don't have a successful customer yet. CEOs that aren't committed to helping your customers, if you're not committed, then this is not right for you. And businesses that have grown by 500% since 2023, you're probably doing just fine. You don't need to come to this masterclass about how to fix these positioning problems. And if your products or services that don't require your prospects to do anything or change, then this is not for you. But if the opposite of this is you, then you're here in the right place. So my promise to you in the next 45 minutes as we go through these shifts is we're going to talk about how to nail your sales message, how to turn your homepage into a home run for perfect buyers, even if your prospects weren't even looking for your solution, why it's game over for most marketing playbooks and what you need to do instead, and how to attract ideal customers into buying conversations and lead your category actually in a category of one, even if they've never heard of your solution, and how to get AI to create a frickin' torrent of on-brand, 100% on-brand content without hallucinations or fancy prompting. This is a huge promise. This is what I'm going to do for you guys. But first, is this you? Is this you? Your solution is amazing. Your customers love it. They love you and your team, but your team is expending, your sales team is spending spending a lot of time and working so hard explaining why, explaining what it does, how it does it, and why your customers should care. If that's so, you have these positioning problems. If you're thinking and your team is thinking, your solution should be a no-brainer. It's awesome. It really should be a no-brainer, but it is a brainer for some unknown reason. You have a marketer that's marketing but isn't turning into sales, then you have these positioning problems we're going to be talking about today, the 5 of them. By the way, as I'm going through this, just give me a 6 in the chat if this is what you're experiencing. You've asked GPT to write you a blog, a post, or marketing, and it just really it didn't cut it. Or worse, you spent a lot of time cleaning up the garbage that comes out of AI, and that's not our position, to clean up garbage. And I'll give you a pro tip later about what you really should be doing instead and how. A lot of your demos meetings are ending with no sales, and this is a statistic that we see out there, even 6 months later. I see that win rates are often down. I see between 17 and 25%. I see sales cycles increasing. If you're seeing some of these things, you're facing these positioning problems and you haven't made these shifts. If you've read these books like Gap Selling from Keenan, wonderful book. This is Marketing from Seth Godin. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful book. Building a Story Brand from Donald Miller. If you've read these books, maybe you've read my book, but yet you haven't made the changes to your messaging that you should, you haven't made these shifts. Knowing isn't the same thing as doing. Perhaps you've got salespeople, type in a 6 if this is your case, and you've got salespeople saying different things and not really on the same page about what they're selling and how they should be selling it. And everyone is telling a different story. If you've got a graphics gal or a website guy or a social media gal, and they are all doing different things, but what you seem to be missing is a single compelling story that weaves everything together and is just simple and easy and just makes it easy for everyone to get it. If you're missing this, you haven't made these 5 shifts, or you haven't made one of the 5 shifts. If you're sending out your sales presentation as to compensate that your homepage and your website doesn't really communicate the value, or worse, your sales presentation is more like a Franken-Deck with a white background with tons of slides and content that's been developed over time, you really haven't made these shifts. If you have words on your website like this, creating innovative workflow technologies, there's that innovative word again. They were using it right there on the homepage, claiming to be innovative. It doesn't mean anything. It's all BS, like WTF. It puts people's brains to sleep. So check it out. This is a list of words that I have compiled that are what I call self-ascribed, like flexible and versatile, best in class, unleash the power of. You notice you get a lot of GPT content that uses these words. Have you noticed that? Because the GPT at the base level has been trained on billions and billions of words of bad marketing from 2010. So that's what's happening. So if that's you, you haven't made these shifts. All right, so let's cut to the chase here. There's so many things we can talk about, but the good news is that those are symptoms and they're easily fixable once you make the shift. The real problem is that you haven't made these 5 shifts that we're going to be talking about. And you're facing these positioning problems. But once you do, you're going to have complete confidence in every dollar you spend on marketing. You're going to lead your category, accelerate qualification process, and close a heck of a lot more deals. Your leadership team will be fully aligned, and you'll be able to create tons of on-brand content everywhere, every month, without hiring anyone. And I would say fractions of a penny to the dollar of what you're paying right now. An ideal prospect showing up to the first conversation, predisposed and ready to buy. That's what happens. Great things happen. You make these 5 shifts. And I know I spent a lot of time on this before getting to the meat of it, but it is important. All right, so if you guys are ready to jump into the 5 shifts, say, thank God I'm ready. Just lay it on me. I know that was a lot, but I needed to make sure that you understood what's at stake here and why we're doing this. All right, Meg, we got a Meg ready. We got a George ready. Ready, set, go from Sanjay. Awesome. Ready, set, go. All right. The first positioning problem is your marketing. Your story is just boring. Boring. And this is what you got to do instead. The first shift is to fight boredom, is instead of being all about your product, lead a movement. So what do I mean by lead a movement? Well, you are selling an innovation. You said yes to that. But what is your innovation challenge? Let's flip that upside down. If you're selling an innovation, it means it challenges something, and there must be some kind of enemy of the story that you and your customers both have in common that your innovation is crushing. Is that right? So if you know who the enemy is, type that in the chat right now. I'm curious. Look at what Salesforce.com did as an example. And back in 2005, they called out the enemy when they were moving to the cloud. The enemy was software. They called out the enemy. That was what they wanted to say. Look, the future is the cloud. Get it, people. It's coming whether you like it or not. Back in 2005, Mark Benioff totally nailed it. So Salesforce did it, HubSpot, DocuSign, they all have movements. They all lead movements away from something and towards something. The old way to pitch in your story would be making claims like we're innovative, we're revolutionary, we're the best, and this is why you should buy our thing. That doesn't work anymore in the world that we live. What works right now is to be a rebel leader and to encourage change. So the voice of your marketing, the voice, and ChatGPT doesn't know what your voice should be. You need to train it on this so that you need to encourage change, where essentially you're saying in your message that the old way is dead and you need to name that old way. So this is what Chris Orlob calls an effective nexus, and it changes how your buyers think about the problem and shakes their confidence, but in a good way, and it's polarizing. It makes so much sense. So type in the chat now. This is a workshop. What are you and your product rebelling against? What does your product require people to also want to rebel against? And that will point to the movement that you're leading. Type in the chat if you know, what are you rebelling against? What change does your innovation require? That also points to what you're rebelling against, what movement you need to lead. I love the word movement because that's really what sales and marketing is about, isn't it? It's about helping your customers make a move, make a change for the better. So type in the chat, what is your polarizing statement? What is it? What are you rebelling against? Simon Sinek says, in order to stand out, we have to know what we stand for. What do you stand for? What are you telling people to stop doing? Just stop it. What are you telling them to stop doing? What are you telling them to start doing? This is all around movement. Is this making sense? So Meg, waiting for disease symptoms instead of preventing symptoms in the first place. Yes, I love that. That's a great movement. Sanjay, chatbots that are dumb. Yes. So stop using dumb chatbots. Love that. Dating sites, Jay, for hookups with fakes and no security. Really good. You can conquer Google results. Well, that's a great goal, but what are you rebelling against? Maybe it's being on the bottom of Google results. I'm not sure. So what do you want people to stop doing and start doing? This will get you to the place. So Chris Voss, I'm a mentee of Chris Voss, who wrote the book Never Split the Difference, ex-FBI hostage negotiator. He says, stop chasing yes. And this makes so much sense in sales. Instead of trying to get people to a yes, actually get them to a no, to a reverse yes. People feel safe saying no. How could you ask no-oriented questions? There's a whole chapter on this in the book. I'm not going to go in it, but it is brilliant. Anyway, he has made great waves. So give me a Voss, a VOSS in the chat if you also love his work. So this is for cognition. Goodbye to spreadsheets. Hello, connected information. This is packed with clarity of what they're selling and the old way versus the new way. It really makes sense. So it makes sense because for their ideal customer, who's stuck in an old way, managing their thing with spreadsheets, will appreciate that what they really want is connected information that is trapped in spreadsheets. So it really works when you dial in what you're leading, what the movement is you're leading. So I like to say, stop the hype marketing. It doesn't work. Lead a movement instead. And that's what we're talking about right here. This is a great example from aware.com, publicly traded company. We actually work with them. This was just published. So this website is great because it contrasts the old way, which is digital access, with the new way, which is intelligent biometrics. This is a new category that they have created and is allowing them to dominate the biometrics industry. So bottom line is, the people who aren't enrolled in the journey, they're going to ignore you. And that is a great thing. It really helps you understand who your ideal customers are. So if you believe, and I believe this, that sales and marketing is an act of leadership, where you need to lead people to a better way, then just give me a yes in the chat. I think that is so. Sales is an act of leadership. Yes, Meg, it looks like you're a Voss fan as well. So if you do believe that sales and marketing is an act of leadership, then damn well, you guys, I'm going to encourage you to lead a freaking uprising. Take the gloves off. I'm a big fan of Arnold, you know, what he's done in his life. Lead an uprising against the status quo, but get clear on it. Don't just lead a noisy rebellion. Lead one that's focused on the thing that doesn't work for your customers anymore. And you got to do this if you want to be a market leader. All right. So look at Airbnb. Live anywhere on Airbnb. Like, what a great aspiration there. You know, that's their tagline. That's their movement. Wonderful. You can look at leading movements that have worked. You know, Make Your Day is, I think, TikTok. Just Do It, Nike. Trust Your Source is from the Wall Street Journal. Make America Great Again. You know who that's from. It worked actually to get him elected president. Hit Your Number. Own Your Tomorrow. Find Your Beach from Corona. Own Your Tomorrow is from Charles Schwab, by the way. So take a look at all these hashtags just for a moment and think about your business. What's the pattern here? What do all of these successful hashtags have in common? What do they all have? They're all about leading to a new place, to a place. They're all about change. They're all about movement. They all what? Type in the chat here. What do all of these have in common? So I want you to be able to stop being boring. And that's the biggest problem, number one. And one way to do it is to lead a movement. So they're aspirational. Yes, they are. And they all start with a verb. They're all action oriented. That's what you want your customers, your prospects to do, don't you? Don't you want them to take action? Or your customers don't need to take action. Your prospects don't need to take action in order to be successful. You know, they do need to take action. They're short, succinct, powerful change agents. Absolutely. So even Zoom Info, I mean, these guys are selling frickin' data. I mean, how boring can you get? Their marketing's excellent. Hit your number. 3 words. And they realize that with their data and used well, that you'll be able to hit your number. And that's what they're appealing to the CROs here. So it really works. So marketing is about action. I'm going to wrap up this first shift. Marketing is about change. It's not about hype. So if you have an idea of what your hashtag's about or you're already using, type in the chat. I'll give you a quick critique and we'll move on to the second problem. So Jeff Aronson, CEO of EquipX, before he made these shifts, his business marketing was just confusing. Content pipeline was really thin, letting key partners and investors down, losing deals to no decision. And after, this was their website before, and it was like, you can read this, maximizes the what of the what, and like, what are we talking about? And after he made the change, tripled revenue, 6x pipeline in 4 months, confidence in marketing spend. Partners now can sell easily because the message is simple and clear, and so grateful that the business vision that he's had is actually happening. Now, I can't promise that if you make these shifts, you're going to achieve these results. As my lawyer says, I cannot, but I'm saying that you will definitely see improvement if you make these shifts. So this is another great example of a company. I want to spend too much time in it, but they're really contrasting the old way versus the new way of approaching transactions. And they're selling software, AI-based software. All right, so let's move on. But before we do, does solving the boring problem make sense to you by leading a movement instead? So just say make sense in the chat if what we're talking about here will solve a lot of the boring problems you're having with marketing and how you may be using ChatGPT, because if you're not leading a movement, it's just frickin' boring. So give me some make sense and it'll unlock the second problem that you need to fix and the shift that you need to make. Great. Thank you guys for participating. I need it, and it just makes this session so much more valuable for everybody. All right, great. So this was Trisha. Actually, Trisha, she just sold Behavioral Technology. She sold the company for a very handsome amount of money, and was fired. And before she sold it, they were really achieving great numbers in sales because of the shifts that she had made. I don't want to spend time on there, but this stuff works. So let's go to number 2, positioning problem number 2. This is a problem you must solve by 2025. That your messaging is solution centric. Now, we've all been in the 90s or 2000s, the solution centric sales or solution selling, but there's a big problem with this approach today. And that's because nobody cares. Nobody gives a shit about your solution. Nobody cares about your company or your solution. And forgive my French, but I am from New York, and I'm going to be blunt. Nobody really cares. What do people care about? You know this. Type it in the chat if you know this. What do people really care about? So I would say, why not start with your solution? Well, this is a picture that's worth 1,000 words. There's probably more than 5,000 companies on this sheet here. What's wrong with leading with your solution in markets that look like this? What's wrong with it? There's the word right there on the screen. It's just noise. Solution noise. It doesn't work anymore. So starting with the problem is what you need to do. This is a shift. So that means in your marketing, in your website, in your presentation, in your PR, in your ads, in everything you're doing, you need to start with the problem. And here's the principle. Money follows pain. If you're selling a business solution, money follows pain. If you're selling it's not status, it's pain. So customers buy more feeling understood than them understanding you. So solution marketing doesn't work because it's pushing information about how awesome the solution is. But the fact is, we, meaning you and everybody, customers, buy more when we feel understood, much more than when we totally understand you and your solution. I said this slowly because I really want you to feel this. So give me a 9 in the chat if you feel this, that by starting with the problem that people care about, they will feel understood more than you espousing your solution. Yeah, this is core stuff. Here's another fact, that vitamins don't sell as well as painkillers. So people are twice more likely to buy something to relieve pain than to gain something. So if you're positioning your marketing solution focused, I'm going to say it slowly so you get it, people aren't as likely to be interested. So it doesn't work anymore, solution marketing, because it doesn't really explain why people should change, why they should change now, and why they should change with your solution. It's all about change. Again, the old way of pitching starts with the solution. The new way of pitching is it starts with the problem. So let's flip this around very simply so you really understand. Starting with the solution sounds something like this. We help companies generate more sales. We help companies solve this amazing problem. That's starting with the solution. Starting with the problem says, we help companies that are struggling with XYZ or are frustrated with XYZ by doing it this way or taking a new approach. So starting with the problem is the hook that gets people understanding why they should care. This, from the work that I've done, and this is in my book, there's a whole chapter on this about why people buy. And I've studied this. You've probably studied this. You probably know this to be true already, that when someone decides to buy something in business, they're really at the point that the risk of doing nothing about it is greater than the risk of changing. Would you agree, in your own experience, that when people have decided on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock, let's move forward, that fundamentally they've realized that they have to do something, and they were convinced that your approach was the best way? So just type in the chat, I don't know, give me just type in risk in the chat if you've understood in your own business growth that this is the reason why people buy. Now, I've upside down this from Jeffrey Moore's Crossing the Chasm. I believe that the chasm you need to cross is the chasm of risk when it comes to your customer's view of the world. So this is the deal. You need to ignore a lot of people. You need to educate some people, influence a smaller group, and encourage the heck out of people that already recognize that the risk of doing nothing is too great, and you encourage them that your way, your approach is the best way that's going to lead them to a better world. All right, so this is in the book. This is a diagram. It essentially is the same thing. I call that the belief, the buyer's belief curve, where the risk of doing nothing is greater than the risk of change. And those are the people you need to focus on. These are just some examples I won't spend time on. If you want to see examples, I can go into that later. So type in the comments below, or right here, type in the comments, what is the #1 problem you solve? And this is not a trick question. I really want to see that you are able to make this shift. And I'm not dumbing this down. This is actually surprising how difficult it is. But it's not surprising. You guys are steeped in the solutions that you're selling. I get it. But type in the comments, what's the #1 problem you solve? And I'm going to critique this for you. And I'll try not to be too hard. So, George, the #1 problem you solve, Meg, is having an unexpected heart attack. That is a problem. Jay, reliability and security. So, Jay, that is not a problem. That is a goal, Jay. I'm sorry. It's not a problem. So it's unreliability would be a problem, and lack of security would be a problem. So you see what happened there, Jay? I'm not calling you out, but you see how easy it is to slip into. And everyone just like, give Jay, like, we love you, Jay. I don't want to beat up Jay here too hard, but we love you, Jay. But you see how difficult it is. You're the CEO of a company. And even you, it's hard to step out and reposition to start with the problem. So let's see. Jay's all good. Pavlo, marketing is time and money consuming. So Pavlo, that is not a problem. That is a statement that there's nobody feeling any problem in that statement. So Pavlo, that's an F as well. I'm sorry, Pavlo. I love you. Big hearts to Pavlo, but that is not a problem. Sanjay, lack of qualified folks to deal with customer issues. So I would say almost, because you have a lack of qualified folks to deal with customer issues, what's the problem there? You still haven't peeled back the onion. What's at the core of that? So no, I would give that a B-. That's not a problem. So unhappy customers, which means what? So what's the problem? Unhappy customers means there's a lot of unhappy customers that don't leave Verizon, for example. So, I mean, you may be one of them. So unhappy customers may not be a problem. So really dig in. So feel free to type yours in, but I just wanted to do this exercise with you. It's very powerful because we often think we understand the problem. After all, you built your innovation to solve the problem for your customers. So you know the problem like backwards, forwards, inside and out better than your customers do. So I know that you know this, but the reality is we just get kind of enamored with how awesome our solution is, that it takes the driver's seat of our marketing. I feel like crying right now, but it really is sad when this happens to an innovative business, when the solution is in the driver's seat. It doesn't resonate with customers anymore. So yeah, we'll work on that. So Pablo, keep on trying. This is your project to work on, not mine. You've got to nail your problem, not me. So do facts change people's minds? Give me a yes or no in the chat. So if you just say, look, we can just tell people, we can just publish ROI calculators, and we can just publish, the facts of what happens after the product or service is being used, and that will change people's minds. I mean, does that change people's minds? Jim, no. Eric, no. Meg, no. Yes, we know this. So this ties to the idea that solution-centric marketing doesn't work. If you're positioning your company around solution-centric marketing, the voice is around the solution, it doesn't work, because nobody cares about your why. Nobody cares about your company, your product, your business. People believe in the things that they themselves decide, not the things that you tell them. This is so profound. And if you've been in therapy or a therapist, you'll know this to be true. And if you're in sales and in marketing, you should also appreciate this as well. You can't tell people what they should believe, but this is what you can do. If you can describe your customers, your prospective customers' problem better than they can describe it, they'll automatically believe that you have the best solution. This is a fact. Screenshot this if you have to. If you can describe their problem better than they can, they'll automatically be your best solution. This is the authority. This is the credibility that a doctor has that meets with you and describes to you in a way like, oh my gosh, how did you know? Like, you know that. How did you know that? So you didn't read the plaques on the wall. You just appreciated that, like, this doctor must have the right solution for us because they understood and described your problem. So if this feels right to you, but hasn't manifested in your business, give me a 7 in the chat. I just want to check in with you. If you recognize this fundamental shift that you haven't made, but you need to make it, about really using the problem in your marketing better. So here's the other thing, the new SEO, forget the old SEO is dead. The new SEO is actually using ChatGPT and Gemini. And that is not, you can't game it with how you write your solution stuff. But what you could do is use the words of your customers when they describe their own situation. Like, it's taken us 6 months to get our software published and it still is not there no matter what we do. That's like in the words of your customer. If that shit shows up on your homepage or on your website, guess where the SEO of 2025 is going to land people? Yes, just guess what's going to happen, people, because that's what AI is doing. It is reversing it. It's not just about what you're saying on your website around your solution. It's about how well you can describe the problem that customers are having. And 99 out of 100 websites we see are not doing this. But I would say by 2027, most websites are going to have the language and the voice of customers on their homepage to attract. So ReadyWorks, I showed you the ReadyWorks website before that was really terrible, really shitty. This is an awesome website because the story is all around the problem. That their ideal customers, they're the chief medical officers of hospitals, they want patients before paper. They want that. But they know they don't have that today. They have doctors and nurses spending more time in front of laptops and pads of paper to do checklists, instead of using smart forms. So these guys have grown so well, so successfully because they made this shift in their marketing. So as we wrap up the second shift here, start with the problem. Does that make sense? Type in the chat, makes sense. And by the way, the offer is up there on the screen. If you can't stay for the full 5 shifts and get the giveaways, I understand, but hope you do. You can book time with us in the offer section. All right, so I'm glad it makes sense to Jim, George, Sanjay, Marissa. So before the shifts, Warren Johnson, CEO of Scribex, stagnant growth, good salespeople, really good salespeople were leaving because they were not being supported by great marketing. value of innovation just wasn't getting across. They're selling AI supported US-based medical scribes, missing forecasts. So they went from 137 customers to nearly 3,000 in 12 months. Massive growth through messaging makeover. They're using AI. They are saving a ton of money in marketing, but they're doing that only after they fixed their story. Same thing with Manisha, missing targets, couldn't invest in the product without more customers, and they've grown exponentially. He wouldn't even tell me his number, but they've grown exponentially since 2022, and that's so great to hear. And this is really hard to do, and we saw a couple examples right in this masterclass where it's hard to focus on the problem, to sort of get outside the box. And it's hard because you hire marketers, and if you hire marketers, they're just going to market all day. They're going to write content like ChatGPT writes content that makes you feel great about your product, but doesn't, unless you train it to do so, is not going to take the perspective of your customers. So they're going to be blind spots. You're going to be using outdated playbooks. The status quo is still better for most of your prospective customers because that's what they're choosing today as we speak. That is what they're choosing. And you're going to be wasting spend on bad websites. So moving forward, best salesperson won't save you. They're going to quit. Your fancy GPT prompts, they won't save you because it's trained on marketing from 2015. And let's get into number 3. The third biggest positioning problem you need to fix by 2025 is you're the hero. When I say you, I mean your company, your product, or your solution. So you need to shift that. You need to make your customer the hero of the story. But wait a second, stop the music. If they are the hero, what does that make you? Type in the chat now. What does that make you if they're the hero? What does that make you and your brand, your story, your product, your service in the story arc? It makes the guide, absolutely. So if you've read Donald Miller's Story Brand, you'll know this to be true. However, it's very hard to do this. Because if you're the guide, who or what is the villain of the story? Because you can't just figure out who you are. You have to figure out who the villain is and get really focused in your marketing, and that's that enemy. So if you were to just say, look, now, we know, blah, 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 the company is the hero. Sorry, our customer is the hero. Like, oh my gosh, everyone believes this. But let's do a sanity check right now. If I asked you to go to your website right now, if you want, put your website in the chat. And if we have time at the end, I'll go to your website and I'll offer you some tips. But if you go to your website now, if I were to go to your website right now, what would I say your voice of your website is in love with? What is it in love with? Type in the chat. What is your marketing in love with right now? Let's put the heart up there. What's it in love with? What's your marketing in love with? So this is the indicator of that you haven't made this shift. You may know in your mind, in your left brain and your right brain, that your customer needs to be the hero, but it's not manifesting. This is a positioning shift that you need to make. So a lot of CEOs want to do this. Marketers say they can do it. They have no idea how. And it's very easy to tell because the old way, solution-centric marketing, where we're the hero, the voice is saying we're the best, and this is why you should believe we're the best. But the voice that shows up on your homepage, in your presentation, in your conversations, in your PR, in your ads, in your blogs, in your everything, is how we make you better. And to push that further, what's on the line for you if you don't get better? Yeah, pointing that out, that's huge. So cool. Jay, make meaningful connections. So Jay, what's that? Is that a good hashtag? Sounds like a good hashtag with the word make in front of it. So in love with our technology and science. So I get that, Meg. And, heart out to you, Meg, for saying that. But that's what needs to change. Would you agree? It does need to change. All right. So here's an example before. Here is some AI, whatever. They're selling, who knows what they're selling here. Project M, AI, human interaction. It's just terrible. The after, give doctors superpowers, makes so much more sense. They're selling an emotional AI telemedicine platform. And it makes so much more sense here in this model. The transformation story has turned virtual patient checkups into deeply insightful interactions. So it makes so much more sense. Let me just go back. This doesn't make sense. This does make sense. Yes, this is still pretty sophisticated. It's a sophisticated buyer, but visually and with the text, it works so much better. If we have time, I'll go through several other examples, but I just want you to fundamentally understand what it's like to make your customer the hero. So if you think about what you're really selling, you're selling something to people who are in a current situation and they're dealing with what they're doing or how they're doing it or where they're doing it. And they want to some degree, move to a future state where they're doing things better and they're better as an organization, or they're in a better place. So, but they may not want to change from where they're going because the risks may be too high. So you're selling something along that continuum. And what you really need to do from a marketing and a sales perspective is to help them change. And you saw this from the second shift about the first shift, lead a movement. But leading a movement echoes this, because if you're leading a movement, you are already taking that position of the trusted guide and you're helping them change. So in the chat, if this is making sense to you, just type in help them change. Like, that tells me that you get that's your role, is to help your customers change. And we've seen this in movies, from Mufasa to, The Lion King to Jason Bourne. There's always a guide that's helping the hero make that change. Even in Toy Story, I've got a couple small kids. I love the stories that show up here because it's about transformation. It's about taking people and characters that are struggling and helping them make a change. So speaking about helping make a change, you can look on your website. The calls to action that I see on websites are so shitty these days, like meet the team or learn more or get started. Those aren't really things that help people make a change. Those are just like passive, vague calls to action. You need calls to action that I like to call calls to value, that are specific, that specifically call to the change, the first step in the change that people need to make. Like, get up on that dance floor, get up on the floor and do it. Like, what's the first thing they need to do? That is much better. Get a demo, that works. All right, some more examples you'll get in the magnetic messaging framework. So I want to say, if you can't stay to the end, we've still got 2 more shifts to go through and positioning problems that you need to address, but feel free to book a session. I want to make sure that you're able to do that. You can snap that QR code. There's Trisha again, and just delighted that Trisha was able to be successful with her company. This is something she sent about 6 months ago when she actually posted this on LinkedIn, and it was that stop doing something and start doing something else idea. And she sent me an email saying, like, she created our first post on LinkedIn using the new messaging, and within minutes was booked by a COO of an ABA org of 650 employees, like massive company. So don't tell me that this stuff doesn't work. It really does. So let's unlock the fourth one. Make your customer the hero is the third shift you need to make. If you want me to do a quick take positioning on your website, type in your URL and we'll get to it at the end. All right, number 4, positioning problem you need to fix before 2025 is your solution, or what you're selling, is indistinguishable. It's in there in a quadrant somewhere, and it's just like everybody else in your quadrant. So this is what you need to do. It's a shift. You need to name your category. And this is the coolest thing since sliced bread. Naming your category. This is what you have to do. So think about, things have changed so much since 1990s, but one thing has been stayed the same is the word phone has always been here. But there's been a pre-word that's there that's changed. And it's typically a pre-word that happens. So like Apple launched spatial computing with their headset. And yes, I know the headset was a failure, but what isn't a failure is spatial computing. This is coming in a big way. So the idea is computing is in a category of itself, and Apple is a company within the computing category, and spatial computing is the new category that is like the PhD bubble that picks out of the corner. And so that's the new category that Apple owns, and they are leading the charge on in their entire computing industry. So you take an existing category, an existing market, known products, you put your product, and you create a unique category. I'm going to show you exactly how you do that step by step. So I learned this just yesterday. So yesterday, I think NVIDIA's CEO, Jensen, he talked about this new category that they created like within like a week ago, accelerated computing. And it's with a GPU and a CPU on the same board. And this is a new category. It's a new one. And they are positioned to dominate this category, clearly. So what you got to do is this is the formula. Take the umbrella category, put your unique category there. In our business, there's marketing. We're in the marketing business, marketing and sales enablement. What we're offering, our unique category, is AI integrated sales and marketing enablement. So that's the unique category we've created. Apple Intelligence, great example of this, using AI for the rest of us, acronym AI, Apple Intelligence, nailed it. A small company you've never heard of, they nailed it too, calling the new category comfort ownership. They're selling against equipment ownership. It's sort of a leasing of HVAC equipment. It totally works. Conversation intelligence, this is a new category that is a multi-billion-dollar category, actually. So I like this. How do you beat Bobby Fischer? You play him at any game but chess. And Warren Buffett said that, and it's so true. So this is a technique to use to beat indistinguishable marketing, is by creating a category. So ReadyWorks did this with smart forms. They are using that as their new category. Clipper is with video intelligence. You can see the old way on my screen. Cognition is with information driven versus the old way. Intelligent recovery versus the old data and backup recovery method. You get the picture here. A CCO versus a healthcare PPO. So you can see what Vector Health is doing here. New category, building on the previous categories. And take a look at what Dropbox did, and Clear Metal, and all of these. They've all added a pre-word in front of an existing category. And these companies have crushed it since these days, because they have owned a new aspect of the category, becoming a category of one. This is doable, but you need to figure out what is the name of that category. So if you've done this already, or you just want to bounce some ideas off of me, I'm happy to share my thoughts on that. What is your unique category? Type in the chat. Type in the chat. What is your unique category? I'm sorry, Meg, it's okay. I won't go to your site, but sadly, some people are going to that site today, your site, and we got to get that fixed, Meg. We really do. Not just for you, but think of your customers that are benefiting from your solution, but they don't know about it and they're not buying it. They're suffering. So for their benefit, we got to fix that. So type in the chat, what is your unique category? So George says, semantic AI model. Yeah, Marissa, it is hard. You're right. It is hard, and we can help you. Semantic AI model. That sounds cool. I don't know what that is, but that sounds like a category. So this is what you need to do. Name your category. Now let's talk. So does this make sense before we move on? That naming your category, give me a thumbs up or just say yes. Does naming your category make sense as a fundamental way to distinguish yourself from an indistinguishable market that may be crowded? Customers, prospects may confuse you with solutions that are nothing like yours, but they're confusing it because you haven't named your category. All right. I'm glad this makes sense. You guys are still with me, and I love you for that. We're going hard here. Number 5, the 5th positioning problem is you're not using AI right. And that's the key. You're not using it right. You may be using AI or dabbling with it or using it and struggling with it, but you're not using AI right. Now, I spent many a sleepless nights working with AI. I've gone down the rabbit hole, and I've cracked the code on how to use AI to not just replace tasks and tasks that people do, but to tune and create a cheat code for marketing that I'm really excited to share with you right now. So I call this the secret weapon. So the secret weapon here is, well, before I tell you the secret weapon, do you have a core messaging framework document? and that's like a North Star playbook that is a document with words that describes what you're selling, who you're selling it to, what problem in detail you're solving for who, what steps they go through to work with you, what happens if they don't, the name of the category. We're talking about the whole laundry list of your messaging. It should be like a 20-page document. Do you have such a document? Yes or no? Most people don't have this, and that's fine if you don't. But this is what you do need to get by 2025, because it's not just the Bible, the gospel for your business. It is the training data for the AIs that are going to help you 25x efficiency in 2025 and 2026. So I asked LinkedIn, do you have a sales and marketing messaging framework document? And most people have no idea, whatever, some people do. And if you haven't created that, then you are going to continue to be disappointed by the marketing content you get out of ChatGPT. It's hit or miss. Your prompts aren't going to work. They're not going to work every time. The chats that you developed last month aren't going to work well this month because the underlying GPT model will have been upgraded, and so it's not going to evolve. So I like to say, hey, ChatGPT, 2015 called and they want their lingo back. And if you look at the lingo that you're getting with that number one, that base layer of the pyramid that I showed you before, I'm just going to put my glasses on here. Have you noticed ChatGPT giving you words like this on the screen? Just give me a yes in the chat, like boost, foster, dive in, embark, unlock your, So if you're getting words like this in your marketing, in your content, in your emails, whatever you're asking the hell ChatGPT to create for you, you haven't made this shift, which is to take the time to build what we call a magnetic messaging framework document. That document is the training data that not only tells it the style of, but gives it the whole narrative, the strategic, structural narrative. So I like to say that ChatGPT is like an apprentice marketer, maybe a Harvard graduate apprentice marketer that's been trained on billions and billions of marketing words from the 2010s, but knows nothing about your business. So here's the secret weapon. Get AI to become your marketing expert in your brand voice. How do you do that? Well, this is how I recommend doing it. You basically refine your story through expert facilitated interviews from an outsider. Because like we showed here in this example and today in this workshop, there were several of us that got challenged by me as an outsider and realized that the clarity of the problem is not so clear. So refine your story through expert facilitated interviews of leadership, customers, using the most effective frameworks. Second thing you need to do is transform your homepage deck, sales deck, marketing messaging to be problem-centric and compelling. And then use the finished framework that you have from your messaging framework document and your website. You actually don't even need the website to do it. You just need the framework document to pre-train your custom GPT, your company's own GPT that you will own for free forever. And it will generate for your entire team oodles and torrents of 100% on-brand content. It'll become like your co-intelligent, your AI integrated marketer for everyone to use for requests for proposals, for emails, for ads, for blogs. Like you could 100x your production of communications that will be 100% on brand if you've gone through this process of refining your story, building out that messaging framework, and training the GPT. And I have trained, and we have trained, I think, nearly 75 or 80 GPTs that for customers that their whole teams are using to produce right on brand content. And we do that actually in the first month to get the GPT happens in the second month. But the first month is really where we have to figure out through interviews with your positioning team, with your CEO, of course, chief storyteller, the chief revenue officer, maybe the top salesperson, maybe a prospective customer or an existing customer or a partner. We need to validate what we're coming up with to make sure that messaging framework is solid, that it works, that you've got your category, you've got your problem-centric view. Once that's done, there's an explosion that happens, a Cambriac explosion that happens on month 2 when that custom GPT is trained, given to your team. And then, of course, you can move to month 3. This is a 90-day sprint that you typically work with. Month 3 has lots of stuff from webinars to lead magnets to workshops and things that really ratchet up your sales and marketing. So I would say the cheat code, and this is this cheat code, the secret weapon, whatever you want to call it, is getting that messaging framework done and getting it trained on the GPT. Because all of these questions are probably not answered today in a document, like what do your prospects believe around the issue that they're dealing with, or what is the current problem that they're all facing as it relates to your product or solution, and what happens to them in their organization if they do not fix those problems in their organization. So it's probably massive information that massive insights. But what I found is we need to pull that shit out, pull those golden nuggets, forgive my French, golden nuggets that you've got from your business and creating your solution. We need to pull that out and train the GPT around that. So this is like a screenshot of what a 20-page magnetic messaging framework document looks like. But once you create it, once you go through that journey in the first month, then you're creating that second layer on ChatGPT, that custom GPT, and then you're having your team run chats on writing emails or writing blogs or producing presentations, whatever you need to create. They're doing it. You're doing it at that third level on top. So I know I'm going pretty fast here, but does this make sense from a process perspective? I'm throwing so much at you here, but does this kind of make sense? Kind of, sort of? Just type in yes or no or maybe here in the chat. So we're an AI integrated sales and marketing agency because we need you guys to be AI integrated so that you can produce a torrent of communications that are even better than human. The communications that I'm producing now are better than what I'm writing because of the trained AIs that we have built, that I have built. And they're getting better performance because of that. So it's better, it's faster, it's safer, and it's at a fraction of the dollar, like 0.0001 cents on the dollar kind of thing. So Notebook LM, I can't believe we built like these podcasts for our customers. You can see these customers that we built podcasts for. These are AI generated podcasts, and they were just trained on the magnetic messaging framework. This is an example of a podcast that's out there. So anyway, that's the secret weapon, because you can create so much if you can train GPT on your solution. All right, so this was number 5. This is what you need to do. You need to refine your story through facilitated interviews. You need to transform your marketing, and you need to use the framework to pre-train your GPT so everybody in your team could use it for free going forward. So Masood, frustrated with sales were declining, 30 demos to 1 sale before he made these changes. After he made these changes, actually the website before, like, what does this even mean? Kubernetes application resiliency starts here. This was the after, and since they made this change in what customers need to do, they tripled their at-bats, and at-bats are new conversations, and doubled their win rates in just 2 months, and they're on a great path for success in 2025. So those are it. Those are the 5 positioning problems every CEO must fix. So this was my promise that we were going to talk about how to nail your sales message, how to turn your homepage into a home run, why it's game over for the most marketing playbooks, how to attract ideal customers into a buying conversation and lead your category as a category of one, and how to get AI to create a torrent of 100% on-brand content. That was my promise to you. And just to recap, this is what you got to do to win. You got to lead a movement. You need to start with the problem, not your solution. You need to make your customer the hero that positions you as the guide, together conquering the villain, the dragon of the story. You need to name your category, that unique category with a pre-word, and you need to use the secret weapon, which is a method using AI. So I would say now you have a choice. You can do nothing. You can go it alone, or you can get help. And I would recommend, if you're here and you feel like this resonates with you, get help. snap the QR code, book a session with us, and we will discuss how you can find 25x efficiency gains in your marketing, but only after you fix your story so that all of that actually works. So that's that QR code. We can talk about the 90-day sprint. We can talk about workshops and other things. And this is what I have for you. You can click the offer tab and you can book that session. And so in the time that we have remaining, let's go to a few websites. So still want to know how I can train my GPT. So we have workshops that can do that to show you how to train your GPT, but we only typically do that after you have something to train it on that's good. Because if you're training it on bad stuff like your existing marketing, it's Meg, it's garbage in, it's garbage out. You know the deal. So definitely we can show you how to do it, but it's almost like you're putting the cart before the horse, as my dad says. So book a call, get an assessment, get clear on what you need to do, get a game plan on getting it done, and it's absolutely free, no commitments here, but it's if you qualify. And so giveaway time, let me give giveaway time. So I'm going to give away that 16-part magnetic messaging framework. Let me give that away now. Yes. So I think if I press here, share handout. So in the top right of the screen, you see handout. You can download the magnetic messaging framework. There, I'm also going to give away this 12 sales conversations that open minds and close deals. I'm going to just put this link in the chat for you. And I'm also going to put a link in the chat. What I promised is the GPT homepage messaging evaluator, which is built. Tons of people are using this now to help fix their homepage on their own. It's like a DIY thing, but it'll only take you so far. It gives you suggestions, but it really doesn't necessarily give you everything that you need. And some of the suggestions aren't perfect, as you would imagine. So the other thing I need to give out is my book. The book is here. I'm going to just put in the chat. So if you feel like buying the book on Amazon, I would appreciate that. If not, if you just want to download a PDF copy, I'm giving the participants today the link to the book that you can download and flip through and get a lot of step-by-step stuff if you don't want to hire a marketing agency, for example, or hire an AI integrated marketing agency to help you. So we're going to get to some websites. If you want me to take a look at some of your website, I think Sanjay put his up there. Jay put his there. George put his there. So I'm going to pick one or two of them if we have time, and I'll give a quick view. We'll look at it together, and maybe folks here can tell me what you guys think as well. So I would say if you don't hire an outside expert to help you here that really is focused on bringing AI to your business, you're going to struggle to do this alone. It's a confluence of a lot of skills, not just marketing, but using AI correctly. Your marketers aren't paid to take an opposing view. In fact, a lot of marketers you meet today are opposed to using AI because they're threatened by it. You'll find few marketers that are not only threatened by it, that are leaning into it because they're the ones, and I believe I'm the one, I know that if you lean into using AI, you're going to be successful. And it's going to lead to a big place of abundance. Your marketers you hire are not paid to take an opposing view. They're paid to take a view that you're going to be happy with. That's what they're paid for. That's not what we're hired to do. We're paid to help you get sales. So I like to say we're a sales enabler, not a marketing agency. Anyway, if you don't hire an outside expert that takes this perspective, you are going to go back and forth with good opinions. You're not going to have an outsider really giving you that third rail. And you're probably not using the most proven positioning frameworks that we have found, that we work with, experimented with, and we know that work really well. And you're going to be stuck inside this sort of inside baseball. And it happens to CEOs running businesses, a lot of acronyms, a lot of inside baseball, we call it, when a lot of your prospects don't even understand like what that stuff means that you're using. And that happens if you're not hiring an outsider. So type in the chat if you want to have us look at your website. If not, if you need to bow out, that's fine. If you want to book a meeting, that would be great to meet up with you and dive into your business. Thank you, Marissa. I have to hop. This has been great. Big heart out to Marissa. Type in the chat. Bye, Marissa. Thank you, Sanjay. Nice to meet you. And let's go up to a couple websites here. So we've got Sanjay's site, Predicta, we've got Jay. Let's go to Couplify.com. So here's Couplify on my screen. Oh, make meaningful connections. So, oh, you put that hashtag there. So I like that, by the way. That's nice. Get the app. So I love it. It's so simple. Like, make meaningful connections, get the app in order to make meaningful connections. You've got a picture of a happy, loving couple right there. So you're doing some great things here. What's your name again? Yeah, Jay, you're doing some good things here, 100%. And it's really about using the app. And I see this is not a business to business play. This is, a consumer play, and that's great. So it sounds like you're doing great there. So let's take a look at intellisophic.net. Okay, so announcing the beta release of SAM.1. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, George, this is rough. So when I come here, I don't know about anybody else who's looking at this, but yeah, there's a lot of problems in this, not to mention, although I will, you should not have a form here. It should like submit. Who wants to submit? I'm not submitting to anybody. The call to action should be a call to value. Why should I do anything here? What do you want me to do? What are you selling here? What problem are you solving for me? And do you even know who I am? Who is this for? So semantic AI, I think you mentioned it before, semantic something. I don't know what that is. It's fine that it's a new category, but you need to anchor it in a category that I understand. So I'm sorry if I was too harsh, but that's just what's going to be needed to fix all this. So thanks for putting your website up here, George. All right, so we're wrapping up here. I love you guys. Oh, Meg. Okay, it looks like Meg. She was like, okay, he's not so harsh. He's not going to beat me up too much. We can put up our website here. So multiple AI. Oh, multiple. So beautiful. I love the colors. Like, oh, I just want to look at the colors for a minute here. I'm just like hard out to the colors. But then my left brain kicks in and saying, what is this? What are you selling? Who is this for? We're making cardiovascular screening possible for anyone on earth. Oh, so my mother. So is this for my mom? So what do you want my mom to do? So you see where I got confused? I don't know who this is for. You're selling to doctors, to mothers, to children. Like, I don't know who this is for. That's missing here. I also don't know what you're selling. It sounds like you're making cardiovascular screening. So you're selling cardiovascular screening? So how do I apply? How do I get my screening? Oh, I don't see that. I just see a team. All right, so there's a lot of questions that I have as a potential customer of yours that need to be answered. You need to have those building blocks right here on the homepage, and they're not here. So because they're not here, you're making me struggle as a potential customer to what it is that you're selling, what you want me to do, what problem you're solving today. So the challenge we choose to face, cardiovascular diseases are a leading cause of mortality. Yes, they are, but like, who should care about this in relation to what you're selling? All right, so it's in small text here, and my brain is just not going to read this now. I would probably just take this and I throw into ChatGPT this URL and say, please explain what this company does for me because I can't figure it out. And I'm just saying, if you have to use ChatGPT, if your customers have to use ChatGPT to figure out what it is that you do, who you sell it to, and what you're selling, then you've got a problem. And before you can even use AI to help you market, you really have to fix that problem. So Meg, I love you. Yeah, I told you, big heart to Meg. Love you, you're the best. But as you know, your site, your messaging really needs to be fixed. And it's not just your site, because once you fix it there, it's in all of your communications, your email, your conversations at conferences, rubbing elbows at a Starbucks with a chief medical officer, like whatever. Your message needs to be clear in order for you to be successful. And if it's not only will you not be successful, but just think about the moms out there like my mom that need to benefit by your service and they don't know about it. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're leaving on the table, because I believe that you're here at this masterclass, not just because you guys want to make money and you need to and be successful. You're here because you have a legitimate innovation that is making your customers and the world a better place, safer, healthier, more abundant. I believe that. And what's standing in your way right now is the message that you're using. And not only that, once you fix that, then I want to give you guys a cheat code so that your message can get out there and and the entire world can become a better place. That's the world I want for myself, for my kids, and I'm sure that's the world that you want for yourself too. So with that, I want to give you guys a big heart. I love you. Thank you for staying for this. My gosh, an hour and a half masterclass. You guys are awesome. Thank you. I hope you got some benefit from this, and I want to wish you the best of luck. I'll see you next year, if not sooner. Godspeed. Absolutely. Thank you, Meg. Thank you, Jay. And thanks, Sankar, Eric, George. Speak to you guys soon.